Happy Wednesday. It is February 26th, just a couple days left, and it's going to be March. When the heck did that happen? But welcome to ATI Pro Media. We're live at 9, or we shoot for 9 o'clock. I was on my soapbox on crop insurance, and suddenly Joe's yelling at me, hey, we got to go live. We got to get a show going. So I think we got a good one. We can't run from the topic of more corn acres, right? It feels like every other headline I read, that's the topic. We've got the Ag Outlook Forum starts tomorrow. Yeah. And so we'll get that first look at where the USDA is going to kind of, where are they going to have corn and soybean acres at? Got some other good headlines, right? Let's look at Mexico. Looks like they're not going to be planting any GMO or GM corn anytime soon. As always, drop us a question, give us a comment. We'll talk about whatever you want to hear about. With that, Brady, jump in here. Let's quote up the markets. And I'll tell you who won. Oh, here we go. Oh,
that was way too close. In your face.
In your face today. Oh, man. And so speaking of more corn acres, the markets are kind of reflecting it, right? Corn up, beans down. So,
yep, let's run through your board here and we'll talk about it. May corn up 4 1/4, 498.5. We're bouncing on May corn, bouncing back. May beans down 8 cents at 10.40 3/4. Soy oils down 50 points. Soy meals down $1.20. Chicago wheat down 2 cents, 5.71 on the March, 5.85 on the May. Looking over at KC wheat, we got May KC wheat 6.03 down 2.5. July KC wheat 6.15 down 2 3/4. Keep an eye out there on July 26 KC wheat, mid 650, 655 area on July 26 KC wheat, way out there. Feeder cattle bouncing, continue kind of to bounce back and claw back. They've been on both sides this morning. The March is up 50 points. The May's up 325. Fat cattle are down 17.5, 195.55 on the April contract. Your lean hogs, April's up 92 points, 87.50. May hogs 91.20, up 60 points. Crude oil, we got April crude up 4 ticks there, 4 cents, 68.96. Heating oil, diesel is down 4 cents, continues to slide on the diesel front. Nat gas down 14 cents. We got to pull up a heating oil chart today if JoJo reminds us, and we don't forget. The Dow is up 111 points on the macro front. The S&P up 35 points. The NASDAQ up 155. The Russell up 2260. Bitcoin's down 455. Gold, a little weaker. Silver, a little firmer. U.S. dollar bouncing higher. The 2-year and the 10-year are softer as well. So that's a quick rundown of your markets. We got corn bouncing back and soybeans fading off. So to your point, market's not buying any more bean acres at the moment.
Not right now, right? It's very funny because to me, when I see, I like to be a contrarian sometimes. When we see headlines like that, like this, where the corn soy ratio is still saying more corn acres. Farmer loves to plant corn, right? We're seeing it for how long have we been talking about this, Brady? Since did we start in December? Easily, we started in January, and it's like I tend to be a contrarian where it's like, okay, when we see a headline that's 3 months off, let's just proceed with caution. But they keep piling it on, right? With beans down, March beans down 7 and March corn up 3. So very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Interesting to see, yeah, what the market's pricing in, continuing to price in the face of an Ag Outlook Forum number tomorrow. That'll be interesting to see what gets printed. And yeah.
So first off, you're a busy man this week. Is with you're doing a lot of meetings with Schooler. Is that correct? And then you're on Chip Flory too. So make sure everyone tune in and hear Brady, whatever. I don't know what topics Chip's got loaded up for you, but make sure you tune in. So how'd the meeting go yesterday?
Yep, good meeting, Schooler Grain. It's good to get out and face to face with some producers out there. It was a beautiful day, but we still drew a nice crowd in. Got a big meeting in Goodland, Kansas tonight. Looking forward to that. It's nice to meet new folks and talk face to face with producers out there. And yeah, Schooler Grain has a big presence out there in Western Kansas. So talking about everything we can. It's their meeting, so I kind of let them ask questions and guide us where we want to go. And try to hit the points of what we need to be focusing on going forward. Yeah, we'll see what Chip has in store too, though. I'm excited to be back on with Chip and on AgriTalk there. Huge audience. I mean, a lot of people listen to AgriTalk out there, so it's a big show to be on. Good opportunity.
That's awesome. Well, if you get any good questions or any good like anecdotes, it's always interesting to hear, what's the crowd saying, what's kind of the sentiment, and so make sure you update us on.
Will do. Yeah.
With that, okay, let's get into it. Let's start off. You talked about this yesterday, and I think we did it right. 16 consecutive days of week-to-week declines in choice cutout.
We stacked another one on here yesterday. We needed to clear 315, but the streak is going to end today, Connor. It's over.
Okay.
It's done. No more. 16. This is where it ends. Today, the choice cutout, it has to do no work. It can be unchanged. It can be lower because last week's print was so weak at 313 that we'd have to see choice cutout revert, and hopefully we don't see that today. But let's just vote that streak ends today.
Okay.
Cash is called steady to higher on the cattle front. $2 type levels in the south, maybe a little bounce back. It's good to see this feeder cattle market rally as well. We've sold off. March feeder sold off about $16 between end of January and the middle of February, and we've rallied and recovered about $11 of that, 2/3 of the way on the bounce. Futures are still a $5 discount to the index on March. Those are going to come together, but they've got a time. March feeders end at the end of the month. Producers, if you're hedged in the March, pay attention. If you're not moving those cattle in March, make sure you got that hedge, that position where it needs to go. Sometimes as we get into the last 30 days, as the index squares up, that market doesn't always reflect what the funds are doing out there. So if you're moving cash in March, you're in a fine spot. But if you're not moving the cash in the March, let's start to work those positions out to where they need to be. But getting some more interest in LRP too, Connor. I don't want to take up all the airwaves on the cattle stuff, but
keep going.
LRP, we're bouncing with the bounce back here on the board. A lot of questions as to where this market's going to go. Bottom line, nobody knows where it's going to go, but unborn LRP for calves that are on the ground or calves that are hitting the ground pretty soon, getting some interest out there in covering those up, protecting prices. We can go all the way out to January 26th with those unborn products. So, if you are interested in that product, how it fits in your operation, give us a call, hit us up.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Where to next? How about this headline for you, Brady? After trade dispute, Mexico officially bans the planting of genetically modified corn. This comes from Reuters. And so the Congress on Tuesday approved a constitutional reform to ban the planting of genetically modified corn, a move that could lead to some more tension with the United States after the resolution of a trade dispute, analysts said. So if you remember, it was in December that a court ruled, trade dispute panel, I guess I should be specific, is that any type of ban on genetically modified corn imports, right, was what Mexico was trying to do. It would violate the USMCA, right, that U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. So they have to take the genetically modified corn, right, and they use most of it for feeding cattle, but they're going to plant nothing but non-GMO corn. So kind of an interesting dynamic, right? So we're going to import all the GMO corn, but we're going to grow GMO-free corn.
Non-GMO
Or
only.
non-GMO. Yeah. So
interesting. Yeah, that is an interesting headline, interesting move on I don't know what to think of that. How big of how much corn does Mexico produce? What's getting stats on that?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
I've never toured Mexico Corn Belt, so I haven't been down there taking the tour. I've mostly been on the coastal regions of Mexico.
Yeah. So it comes on, it's an interesting headline because it also comes along where, we've seen Mexico continue to be a great importer of U.S. corn, right? It was kind of the being nervous, but here we go. Okay. So, Mexico's own corn crop, here's a fact from you, again, from Reuters, is that its own corn crop has grown by about 15% over the last decade, right? They've increased production 15%. Corn consumption has expanded by 50%. So they've got a gap to fill. And so they've had a couple crop shortfalls. Imports are estimated to account for 51% of the country's corn use, well above the three-year average of 40%. So over half of their corn consumption is imported. And then a portion, how much they're importing, 90% of that is United States corn. So we are, by and large, right, for Mexico's the #1 corn importer in the world. and we are by far and away their number one supplier. So, we can talk tariffs. We can talk about how absolutely we could see exports or Mexico corn imports, falter off, right? We've had a great 2-year run. But as far as that going away, right, that's not going away anytime soon. Tariffs, big Mexico crop, what have you, right there. We're a big player. We're going to continue to be.
Yep, key trade partner. We hope that doesn't go away. Boy, howdy, would that be a big deal if it did, or if it slowed off, or there were tensions there, or any type of policy that just reduced their urge to come buy or slow down that pace of imports of U.S. corn, or maybe cause them to look somewhere else. I don't know if there's anybody to the south of them that could feed them corn too. That wouldn't be good.
Good point. Great point. And what we talked about yesterday, we were going to pull up Chinese imports, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at that, and I think that goes along the same lines because the past 2 years we've seen Mexico corn imports jump up, and they very much, they kind of filled the gap where China went away. And so here I have monthly corn exports, USA versus Brazil. And if you look at this, let's go back to 2019, even before then, corn imports or corn exports to China was basically zero. We saw, and then 2020 happened, right? What a jump, what a huge increase, all from the United States, right? Those were the good old days. I wish they would have told us when we were in the middle of them. But going to 2022, and then look at the orange bar, right? Is that China corn imports continued, but they shifted the business south, and now going back, for the past year. They definitely haven't bought very much U.S. corn, but they haven't bought any Brazilian corn either, right? It's very much doing it. So just looking at that, you can kind of see just how, I don't know, is sporadic the right word when we're talking about Chinese corn imports, or what us and Brazil are exporting to China. It's kind of hit and miss, and we almost need to see it as longer too. I'd like to see a 10-year chart of that.
I would as well, yeah. But that's an interesting graphic. Sporadic, feast or famine. That's another thought that comes to mind. It seems like when they're in the game, they're in the game. But then they're, we had a nice surge of business there, but they were absent the market 18, 19. And then, phase one trade deal had some problems in South America. And 20 came in like gangbusters and moved the market. We all know what happened the fall of 20, going into 21, 22. Throw in a derecho production type problem, and then throw in a heavy China buying streak, and your markets moved in a wild, wild way. And it'd be great to see something like that, and have some big export business in China come to town to buy U.S. grains, beans, milo, corn, throw it all in there. Let's get some trade going with one of the biggest trading partners in the world that can drive U.S. markets higher.
Absolutely. I always use 2020 as that kind of that perfect storm where we have to price in the irrationality of the market, the uncertainty, and that's the best case, right? Go back to July of 2020, demand was zero. My local basis was as bad as I've ever seen it.
Sentiment sucked. It was terrible.
And it flipped like that derecho hit Iowa. China decided they wanted to buy a lot. So always keep that in mind, right? How fast things can flip. And, if you get entrenched in an opinion, right, this thing can't go higher, it can't go lower, whatever it is, right? These things change very fast.
Yeah, there were some producers back in that 2020 timeframe, late fall 2020, that were very quick to go market at that when we bounced back, we rallied, we came off piss poor sentiment, we rallied back, had a nice run, got to $4, and it was that saying of quick to take profits, slow to realize losses comes to mind, where we had a lot of people jump at the gun, lock in a bunch of crop grain at $4, and then watch it go to $6. And those were some great years where you didn't have enough bushels to sell at those higher prices. Sometimes you could run out very, very quickly. And it's a testament to how we approach the market, to stay in the game and embrace that bull run as it goes.
Absolutely. So speaking of that,
we got
more headlines looking at corn acres, where we saw it's favoring the U.S. farmer. It makes more sense for them to plant corn acres. I thought, Brady, it'd be good just to look at historical corn and soybean acres. So, tomorrow we're going to see Ag Outlook Forum, their first look. I think they're at 93.5, something like that.
Yeah.
Cobank, we talked about it last week, where Cobank's estimate was kind of at that top end of the range, that number we saw in 23. I think it was 94.5. But
Yep. Up there.
historically, I mean, 93 is, that's going to be what, third biggest in the past 10 years. So that, even the number that maybe is considered conservative is still a big corn acre number. And so, I don't think, I always like to see what's the top end of the range. Could we see a 95 million acre number? I want to say no, but I'm not putting all the eggs in that basket though either.
I don't know. You guys like to plant corn. How much? If I want to know, if you're out there listening, how much more corn are you planting on your farm, and what crops are losing acres out there? Leave a comment below if you're watching the rewatch. If you're live right now watching, we want to know. Are you planting more corn? Are you? And if you're not, what? If you are, what acres are they replacing? Are they replacing cotton? Are you, backing off on your beans? Are there other specialty crops that you're not planting? But yeah.
And then same thing on the soybean front, right? Other than the cliff we saw during the tariff war, I think what's the ag outlook? Is it 83, Brady? I honestly can't remember.
I actually snipped an estimate here from Brian. I can pull it in here.
Yeah.
Looking at this, I got the reds highlighted below. That's the kind of carry out number, but up top, that top number, 84.4. Yeah, average versus 87.1 last year. 93.5 is the average of estimates versus 90.6 last year on the corn. Big range. There's some analysts out there 95.1. Boy, he's throwing something out there.
Yeah. So 84 is kind of, I don't know, is that middle of the road a little? I mean, no, that's not fair. It's on the lower end, but we can absolutely see less bean acres. We've seen it before. So
these numbers, though, it's out the outlook numbers. This one, it comes and it goes, and it's one of the least, my least favorite data point to look at, in all honesty, throughout the year.
It's so early. Yeah.
The March 31st prospective plantings, that's a big one coming up. Then we've got the May WASD. We get the first look at the balance sheet in the May WASD, the total balance sheet from the USDA, and then the June acreage. Those are, to me, the more meat and potatoes type numbers as we progress through here over the next few months.
Gotcha. Okay.
We'll trade it. We'll see what I think it comes out tomorrow, right? We get those numbers tomorrow at some point. Thursday.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, let's get some questions and get out of here.
Okay.
So, pull up, Farmer Brett. I'm debating planting 25% more milo this year in place of corn due to feedlots taking more milo at this time. Interesting that kind of, I consider it a lateral move. I know it's not, but more milo. Okay.
I like it. And milo's drought play. I wonder if those irrigated acres or dry land, Brett? Be very interesting. You guys plant more irrigated corn up or dry land corn up there than we do down here, though. You guys got Iowa dirt. You just need the Iowa rainfall up in northwest Kansas.
Oh, he's looking at growing some more hemp. Okay.
Yeah. Some of those specialty crops, when the balance sheets look a little tighter and less profitable, canola, hemp, sugar beets, onions, the beans, your specialty type bean products, they seem to work their way into a few more acres and garner some more interest when the ag economy isn't just hot, asking for a lot of corn and bean and wheat acres.
Right. So
good stuff. All right.
Okay. I'm sure tomorrow we'll talk about some ag outlook forum. We'll probably peek at exports, right? Yep.
Premium today. You're talking with Dr. Cruz for our premium content today. Dr. Cruz is going to bring in some great insights about South America. Looking forward to your guys' conversation.
Yep. Always good stuff. So, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Any closing thoughts?
Nope. Thanks for joining us. If you're around Northwest Kansas, going to that schooler meeting, snag me. Look forward to meeting you in person. Also, tune in to Agri Talk this afternoon. Be on with Chip. You'll have a great day. Thanks for joining us today.
See you, everyone.